What's going on, everyone? So, Mark Kincaid, right? We've all been kind of anxiously waiting around to see what is going to happen with Mark Kincaid. Is Patrick Dempsey going to return for this upcoming Scream movie? There were rumors going around that he is in this and he's expected to go to Atlanta to film soon. And guess what? We just got breaking news that no, he's not going to actually be in this film and that they've recasted Sidney's husband. That Mark Kincaid is no longer going, or Patrick Dempsey is not going to be Mark Kincaid in the upcoming Scream movie anymore. That Scream 7 has officially made that adjustment and have hired Joel McHale for the upcoming Scream 7. This is from Deadline, everything like that. This isn't just rumor. This is literally breaking news that Joel McHale is going to play the Sidney's husband, Mark, in the upcoming Scream movie. I'm not going to lie, I'm disappointed. Now, from a casual audience member, from a, butts in seats standpoint, it's fine, right? Joel McHale, he's been in a lot of movies and shows, right? Very popular, diverse ones, from like Spider-Man to Spy Kids to Ted to, horror movies to, he's in TV shows like, Community and all these things, right? So he's the host of, that House of Villains and a couple of these like, Masked Singer and stuff like that, right? So he's a guy that is very known. He's like, people will be familiar with him. And also, Scream 5 never said Mark Kincaid, it just said Mark, right? So Scream 5 established that her husband's name is Mark, but we didn't get the confirmation that he was Mark Kincaid, right? The reason we know it's Mark Kincaid is because Neve Campbell and Patrick Dempsey both confirmed it in interviews, right? Like us Scream fans, us diehard Scream fans, many of us are familiar with that and are aware of that and know about that, right? So that's where my dilemma lies. Yes, technically, it's not canon in the films. It's just Mark. So Joel could play Mark, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a Mark Kincaid or anything like that. It could be Mark whatever, right? Mark McHale, right? Like, it just changes first name from Joel to Mark. So it's very possible that's the route that they take, the approach that they take. But I'm not going to lie. Like, this is disappointing, right? Because I was really looking forward to the upcoming Scream movie where we were going to finally see Sidney and Mark Kincaid. They really teased and set this up. And, even Patrick Dempsey was recently in, maybe not recent, it was like a month ago now, but was recently on like one of those talk shows and talked about how he was excited and, they're working it out. And then there were the rumors that they weren't willing to pay him, but it was just kind of like, well, he's doing another Spyglass horror movie, right? He's literally working on another Spyglass horror movie. So why wouldn't they? You got to imagine that they know his rate, what he's looking for and stuff like that. So it kind of just felt like it was something that was going to get worked out. They kind of felt like it was something that was going to eventually get done and eventually happen. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And they weren't able to work it out. And now they've hired, Joel McHale as the new Scream husband. And I imagine that he's not going to be Mark Kincaid. I don't think that they'll do that. Like, are they really going to have him be Mark Kincaid? Probably not, right? So he'll probably be Mark something else. But it's a bummer as, somebody that was really looking forward and excited to see Patrick Dempsey return to Scream. I mean, they've been trying to get him back since, Scream 3, right? Like, and they just haven't been able to do so. And this is part of the incompetence, in my opinion, of this writing team, right? You wrote a story and then told everybody that, no, it's Mark Kincaid and that Sidney is married to Mark Kincaid. And then Sidney goes on a talk show and says that she's married to Mark Kincaid and does several interviews and talks about Mark Kincaid being her husband and how weird it is because they played brother and sister on, Grey's Anatomy or whatever, right? Like, and, you had this whole dialogue about it. And then even Patrick Dempsey follows up and confirms it that, that him and Sidney are married and all that stuff. And then you don't follow through with it. Why would you set up and establish that story plot and that story point if you didn't know that you could get Patrick Dempsey? That or you pony up and you pay him, This is now the second time. First it was Nev, and now it's Patrick Dempsey. Second time that we've missed out on a character because they were being cheap. Right? It's like, come on, man. Like, why paint yourself into these corners if you're not going to follow through with it? Why are you putting yourself in this position if you're not going to follow through with it? It's incredibly frustrating to see them just kind of drop the ball in this regard, in my opinion, and really just disappoint. Right? Like, this is something that should have been already worked out and resolved. Like, hey, and look, maybe it was going into Scream 6 and, and then they had the dispute with Nev and maybe that caused everything to fall through. And then now Scream 7's came out and Mark Kincaid, or Patrick Dempsey's like, hey, like, you paid Nev, you need to pay me type thing. I don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it is very disappointing, right? From a Scream fan standpoint, from just, somebody that really wanted to see these two and see their interactions and see, like, how is Mark Kincaid knowing her history and, having survived a Ghostface. Like, it's very different when it's Mark Kincaid versus a different Mark. Because Kincaid, he was familiar with Sidney's history. He knew Sidney's past. He knew all of the things that he needed to know to really push through for that relationship. And if Sidney had any walls or guards that needed to be torn down, like, he was somebody that he understood. He knew. He loved Sidney. He cared for Sidney type thing. But now you're in this position to where it's like, and it's nothing against the actor, right? Again, Joel McHale is fine. Like, I think he'll do a great job, right? I'm all for Joel McHale, right? I think, that's somebody, again, that I think can slot in, play a role, be her husband. Like, it's not a knock on him as an actor. I am excited to see how he portrays this, but it's disappointing the Scream fan in me, right? That we missed out. But same thing, like, I'm curious, all the same stuff for Patrick Dempsey still apply for Joel, right? Like, I want to see how is his character as a husband? How is his character as a father, right? How are Sidney and him in their relationship? Is Sidney have all these guardrails? Is he like the cool dad where it's like, don't ask mom, ask dad if you want to do something fun, right? Dad will say yes, mom will say no, right? Like, is him and Sidney always getting in arguments and fights? Are they, do they have the perfect, white picket fence relationship and they're just, happily ever after and Sidney found this love and all that stuff, right? Like, I mean, this is a big role for Scream. I'm talking about Sidney Prescott's husband. Like, this isn't like some small little, like, oh, it's just like irrelevant character that you can just kind of toss to the side or throw away. No, this is something significant. This is something very important. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out and, how he is approached in this upcoming Scream movie, how, his character as a father and a husband and all those things, everything that I mentioned. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about Mark Kincaid being recasted? Well, I shouldn't say, I don't know if you can call it recasting because we don't know, is he going to be Mark Kincaid? We just know that he's going to be playing Mark. Are you disappointed? Are you okay with it? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.